So here I am wandering up to the store. Anything my umbrella, I probably should have. Oh, but doesn't matter. If I get in any real trouble, I just go for help. I didn't feel very well. I didn't actually have a real breakfast, so I'll have to pick up something from the store. Maybe a bakery treat. Vanilla something or other, sausage roll. Yeah. I might pick up a sausage roll. Or $5 worth of... Isn't that nice handiwork? So inventive. I don't think the dog should... Sometimes the dog runs out the house, comes into the yard, and then tries to follow me if they notice that I'm leaving. And they push very hard against that fence line there, and until you don't want to leave them alone, because they push very hard, and it's like they want to come with you so desperately that they could, want to just keep pushing against the gate and fence. It's very disturbing. Dogs don't necessarily think, but you're pretty sure that they could harm themselves a little. But they're happily eating inside, so I get to make my escape. I just have to really push something. Let me think if I've ordered anything I'm waiting for. Besides seeds, I don't really think so. Ordered seeds. Oh yeah, and my massager too. I don't really feel like talking today. It's like but I finally started to realize why my body might be feeling sore. I think it's because I don't stretch work good enough before I do exercise. So I've been keeping in mind to stretch a little bit more. Like do your typical arms, rotation of your ankles, and a few leg kicks. But I might be using some muscles too. So it might be like the fact that I'm actually using my body. Like I'm working it out enough for it to feel sore. Could be anything. I can't wait to get my massager because I'm physically aching in bits and pieces. Sometimes I wake up from my sleep and I unconsciously play with my finger. Like I touch my hand and I play with my finger, and I feel like I can almost straighten my finger sometimes when I'm in a drowsy or semi-conscious state. So I was playing with my finger this morning. I sort of started to wake up and I was playing with my finger and felt like I could straighten it a bit if I just played with it. And in a drowsy state, it's like I played with it, and then it's like got this pretty sharp pain from having it play with my finger. But I feel like I've been doing that quite a lot lately, as though there's an instinct just wanting to get my finger straightened for me. And so it's like when I'm in a drowsy state, like I'm like, oh, I wonder if I can crack this. Because literally, if I do, I used to purposely straighten my fingers, but I thought it would be bad for my cartilage, so I stopped. But when I used to do it, I would straighten it, it would kill, and then it'd feel like all this fluid releasing. It's like a blue feeling or a blue wash rinsing over your finger. And so I used to like purposely do that, but then I got to a point where it's like starting to worry about my cartilage a bit, so I stopped doing it and kept my fingers crooked. But yeah, anyway. Sometimes like when I wake up, it's like, I just hold my finger out of like an instinct, and then it's like I feel like I can straighten it somehow. But today when I did it, it's like it was such a sharp pain. I was like, oh, how could I do that to myself? It's really strange. Foolish talking. I've been talking to myself a lot lately. Just sort of, I hear a lot of little interviews and things. It sort of helps me reflect a little on myself. And I was even going through this. Oh, that reminds me, I have to go home and do that interview over the phone, or try to arrange one. Sometimes I'm like, sometimes I interview myself to, to reflect to myself, in my life, or like last Friday I was like reflecting, being interviewed by like a psychologist, and over my recent job loss, and then I was sort of reflecting, what would I say if I were talking to a psychologist about that, and it's sort of the idea of my age, and in comparison to my ambitions and retirement even, like it was typically the concept of age. It doesn't matter how old I am, people still expect you to work and work and work, and so when you do get a job, you feel like you're just working, as though, and no lenience because you're a certain age on how fast you're required to work. So, you're just pulsing around hours and activities despite age, and then you think you should have it a little easier because you are getting older, and when you're employed, you're being urged to plug it like a teenager or a 20-year-old. So I think that's sort of unfair, but I don't know, the concept of my age and my super in comparison to my age ain't there. So I feel very unlucky, and I guess that makes me feel uncertain because, I can sit on the fence for ages waiting for a job. So my whole reflection was in 10 years' time, when I'm like 50, what will I be thinking? I'll be very, if my life doesn't pick up, it'll just be the same, and I'll be like, I have no nest egg for retirement, I have nothing, and I'm going to be pretty upset. I'm going to be pretty upset probably in 50 years' time, so I would imagine. So I was sort of, thinking, well, if I am asked that by a counselor or someone, because I think I'm going to be told to do extended counseling sessions, and because I've just lost 2 jobs in a week, so I can sort of bring up concepts of age and the fact that I haven't extensively worked and built up any super and stuff, and but the reason why I joined an agency, right? Yeah, but my agency work isn't doing anything once again. So I'm like, I'm with an agent, but geez, talk about sitting on the fence line. It's been over a year, absolutely dry as a drought. Dry as drought. I'm very much struggling with my income. So, and today I have to pay storage again. So, that's no good. So I'm going to have after today, I don't know if I'll have any money left over. How much do I have? I think I'm going to have $100 to last me through this week. To next week? I got paid last week. So I think to next week, yeah. And I'm like, that ain't very much. Because all my stuff is still in storage, and I'm thinking, I'm sort of considering maybe I should just bring it up here. At least I can go back to my trend of trying to sell it off. But I'm still convinced that we're going to have like a ferocious storming period around after June, I guess. So I'm not really certain that I should. I don't essentially like to live in the country here because I know we just have to have a ferocious storm and that house is gone. But so I'm not incredibly in love with staying here because, you know, the person who owns the property has nothing to protect the house against the storm. Nothing in place. So it's very liable to probably being uprooted by a cyclone or a tornado. I'm always going on about cyclones or tornadoes because they're the thing that destroys properties. We don't have floods. Sometimes the volcano might erupt and lava spills. Which I should get on camera someday. But just to prove it happens. But that's relatively safe because you just open all the doors and windows of the house and it floods in and goes out again. But it would go past the house if we had solid gates on the balcony area, but it climbs to the house because there's no solid gatings on the balcony area. So that's another story. No one believes me. I'm like talking psycho talk until it happens. So everyone's like, that doesn't happen. Like, I'm pretty sure it does. Pretty sure I've lived here before. But yeah, so volcanoes is not necessarily the worst thing, or that lava flow. But the tornadoes and the cyclones, that's the thing that will blow you away. And then you could have a tornado cyclone with lava, like a volcano attached to it, which happens, you do get fire, cyclones and tornadoes, then that sort of burns everything while they go on their destructive path. I've been in one of those before too. We hid behind pretty sturdy plant pots. So you need ones made of iron, steel, or some sort of clay like terracotta. Like a heavy pot. And you put a fire blanket over the top of an umbrella and use it like a shield. All these are antics at work, but still you can get. Anyway, since I have absolutely no money, no job, I have to keep job searching while waiting for a job. Kind of sucks. It smells really bad. Like I tried to peel the thing. So I've got two ventures to do today. One is to see if my script is ready at the chemist. They haven't called me, so I assume not, but I did pay for it, and it's been like two weeks since I went to pick it up. And the other thing is post this thing back to employers, because I've just lost my job, so I have to post them back the equipment they sent out. And I didn't have the return packaging slip, so I'm going to have to buy a little repackaged thingy and send it to them. But I have like $400 on a card I can't use right now because I had to change my card because there were some weird expenditures on it. So that I hadn't approved necessarily. So one of them was like $150. I was like, where the hell, why did I get charged $150? I mean, it could have been for Norton, but I don't remember being said anything, but I'm not sure why it was there, and I didn't really state why. And so I said, what the hell is that? Why is someone in Florida, because it had an FL on it, why is someone in Florida getting my money? I don't know, so that's still under investigation. And then I had some weird sounding websites, which I think might be third party to this gambling site that I hooked up onto, because I made a few different transactions, and I think that's what it seemed like. It seemed like third party attached to a gambling app, but I got a refund for that. So that's cool. But anyway, I've got all my spare money on this thing. So I'm gonna make another bank account, have access to my spare money. I was gonna use this George account, but because I've got a new one lately, so. But anyway. literally don't feel like talking much. I've been talking nonsense already. But when we hit the town, I'm going to talk less because I don't like talking to myself while I'm surrounded by people also. Yeah. I'll probably stop talking around about now and just keep popping the footage on off and on until I come back. Where did we find that? Oh,